welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be working on a tabbed folio made from our steampunk kit. But before we get started, just a few housekeeping tips. My technology is not keeping up with me, and so therefore I need to change my posting schedule a little bit. I still will be posting on every Wednesday and every Saturday. However, I don't necessarily have a time because of the complications and things that I've been running across. So it will still post every Wednesday and Saturday. And this happens to be the last new kit. Next week, I'll be posting a kit, but it'll be for the entire month of February. So with that being said, let's get back to our build. Like I said, we're going to be making a tabbed journal today, and this is a little more advanced. I will have areas where I will let you know whether it's a more advanced technique or not, but it builds on some of the other techniques that we've been using before. So let's take a look at some of the things that you're going to need. I used a cutter. I used a corner rounder. I inked some, not as much as the last build, but I did ink some on this one. I do have my my crocodile, but I used it for punching holes only. I only use this for punching holes. Let's see, what else did I use? I have brads, and I used pinking shears this time, which I didn't use last time, or I haven't used in my prior videos. And obviously you will need different types of glue. On this build I used some of my art glitter glue. I used Fabri-Tac glue, and I used my Elmer's glue for the build on this one. So with that being said, I also have a variety of upholstery fabrics that I use, and this is what I'm going to be using for my tabs. Tabs don't have to be done out of fabric. You can use them out of heavier weight papers, cardstock, whatever you feel like, but I chose some colors that would go along well with my journal that we're building, and with this kit. I used a variety of brads, and again I used my middle bits and pieces, some gears and things. I really like the gears, so I used some gears in this project. So with that being said, since this is kind of a lengthy build, let's get started. The first thing I did was I cut a series of cardboard pieces, and I used the same technique that I used in the prior video. I used this file folder, cut it down. The pieces, let's measure the pieces just to be sure, but I believe that they are 5 3/4 by 8.5 is what they came, 8 1/4. So 5 3/4 by 8 1/4 is what the sheets came out to be. And then what I did was I went ahead and covered front to back. Now this is a slight different build than before because I didn't prep it like I did before using the binding method. All I did was glue front to back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and choose this paper. This is the paper that I used for the front and back covers. Like with the previous design, I went ahead and I'm going to do the covers on one side and the inside covers in a different paper. So this is going to be the outside cover, just because I thought it was kind of neat and really, really rustic. And I went ahead and trimmed off the white edges, prepped the paper, and I simply took my cardboard piece and glued it down. So since I want I want this to be the back side, so I'm going to make sure that my paper covers mostly on this side. So when I lay it down, I'm going to lay it down over here. You don't have to be exact with this one, as exact as we were with the last one, because this one we can trim the sides up as close, including clipping part of it if we do accidentally, without ruining the build of the journal. So here we go. We're going to cover this nicely. There we go. Got a nice light cover of gluing on it. Made sure to get all the sides so that when I press it down, it will ooze out to the sides. So I'm going to get it as close to the edges as I can so I don't have to cut any more than just the one side. Kind of fits exactly on my papers once they're all trimmed up. And now I'm just going to trim off the excess. Save the excess because you'll need that for other builds. Now if you, or for pockets and things in this build as well. I printed mine on cardstock. You don't have to. You can use regular copy paper. You'll just need to back it with cardstock if you decide to use the scraps. I like having just a little bit extra stability on my build. So since these are really cheap file folders, I don't think I mentioned where I got the file folders from. I got the file folders from the dollar store. And what I noticed is that at the dollar store, when you buy them from there, they're a little bit thinner and a little bit weaker than traditional if you were to go like to the, if you were to go to someplace like Home Depot or Office Depot to buy. And I didn't have any on hand for this video that I had purchased from thrift stores. I get a lot of mine from the thrift stores, and they are the more traditional that are stronger, and so you wouldn't necessarily need to copy the front and back papers onto cardstock. So I went ahead and did that, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this back side down real nice. We're still getting, I don't know if you noticed that with your Fabri-Tac, that you get that little volcano effect. I have yet to figure out a way to stop that from happening. That air builds up back behind, between the, what you get left over in your nozzle and what is left in the bottle, and it produces a little volcano effect. Science lesson for the day. Bonus. Sorry, that was really nerdy. Okay, so I have this one covered. And I'm going to lay it down here. And using Fabri-Tac lets me scooch it over a bit as well. So if I don't get it lined up perfect, see how it's not lined up perfect? I can always just grab the card and give it a nice little push. Ooh, it's not going to push. I already pressed it down. So now I'm going to have to go ahead and trim that up a little bit. But that's okay. We have scissors to do that. And sorry for my nails. The Fabri-Tac likes to eat up the polish on my nails, and so my nails are not pretty today, but I hate that, by the way. Sorry. It's a pet peeve of mine to see nails not done. I think they should be one or the other, polished or not polished. So needless to say, after this, that's where I'm going, is to have my nails done. There we go. And there you have the back cover and the front cover. Oh, and it didn't quite get there, so I'm going to trim this a little bit. Nope, I'm going to leave it because I'm going to ink it here in a minute, and that will take care of it. So I'm going to go ahead around the corners. And what I did was, is on all my pages, I rounded the corner on all my pages. And I'll show you those here in a moment. But that's it. That's all you have to do for the papers. If you're a beginner and you don't have ink, you can stop here. That's all you need to do. More advanced folks who have all of these pretty Tim Holtz oxides or StazOn or whatever brand you use, you're going to go ahead and go over the edges and make sure that you get all those unfinished edges inked nicely. I just rub over them a little bit extra and see how it covers up the parts where you didn't cut quite perfectly. Use the proper inking technique. That just baffles me that there's a right way to get the ink on your blender. I guess blender is the correct term. I've used dauber before because it reminds me of the daubers that you use for bingo. It looks like it too. See, if you look at the shape of it, that's what it kind of reminded me of. And I'm just going to go ahead and finish inking real quick. You didn't really need to see me ink all of this, but since I'm just doing one, I felt it was okay. I'm going to rub real good just to make sure I get that kind of covered. There we go. Perfect. Now we have a nicely inked cover, top and bottoms, sides, both sides done. There you go. I'm going to put that at the bottom so it's less noticeable where I didn't trim it up. I could always trim it, but I don't think it's that important. Maybe I'll cover it with a pocket or something. Okay, and so now you can see the ones that I've already completed. So here's the one we did together. This is going to be the cover of the journal. I only did 4. This one's prepped. So sorry it's prepped, but I needed to get some of that out of the way before we did it. So I used the hinge style and prepped a flop for this one, but a little flip flop floppy thing for this one. But I used this paper from our kit. Here I used the 2 pages from our kit. I printed it twice so that I could have the butterfly. I still need to ink the inside of this one, and we'll do that once we decorate. I have some decorations that are ready for you. And then we have, here's the back side of that one. Here's the back cover that I already prepped. I put some here because what I'm putting in the middle is kind of plain, and so I thought it needed to jazz up that page a little bit. And here is the back cover. So let's start with the tab system. Oh, wait. Before we do that, I have to show you that I did prep a journal signature to go in the middle of this. And all I did is I went ahead and did a 3-hole pamphlet stitch that we did on the last video. The prior video, we did a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. You just make your 3 markings. And with this one, since you don't have anything to bind it in, you're just going to do it to itself. So you're going to start with the center hole. You're going to go in the center hole, come out, go through this bottom hole, up to the top, and then back through the center and tie it in the middle. If you look when I built this signature, it didn't matter what kind of papers I used. I used some short ones and some longer ones. Ledger papers, as you notice, they're not anything fancy. They're just leftover papers from whatever I happen to have sitting around. I actually purchased these. These are vintage, but you can use whatever. And then I decorated it by putting tabs on it. And I decorated just the front page. I didn't do any of the other pages, but I did the front page with some little fussy cuts from our kit. So now that we have that, I'm going to show you how to do this tab design. And this signature is going to go right between the two butterfly pages, which is considered my center fold, or my my center layout. And I'm just going to put it right in there, and so that's where that's going to live. And if you noticed, I went ahead and made sure that the pages all lined up with the covers, with these thicker pages, but the tabs stick out a bit, which is what it should happen. Okay, so we're going to start. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our cover page, and I have cut tabs that we're going to use. I decided to use these tabs for the 3s and these for the 2s. I went ahead and cut them out. They're about 1 inch wide. This one's a little bit larger because I decided to follow the pattern instead of just being 1 inch wide. But these are just 1 inch strips, and they are approximately 3 inches in length. You can't see that there. You can see it here. So they're just a little bit over 3 inches in length. What I did is I cut a 1 inch strip the length of my fabric, and then just cut it in half. So that's what these are. They're just, sorry, I should do it this way. That way you can really see what it is. So I just cut it the length of this and then cut it in half. And that's what determined the length of my strips. We probably won't use it that way, but just so that you're aware, that's how I cut them to start, and we'll trim them down naturally. I also use pinking shears to do this because I didn't want these, well, fraying is okay, I didn't want them to come really undone. And so I'm just going to grab what I feel is an adequate amount, enough to where it's just going to go over the next page. So there's that, and I'm going to glue 3 of these down, and I measure it just like I would my 3-hole pamphlet stitch, a top, a middle, and a center. So this one is going to be the top, and this is going to be where I want my top tab, and all of the tabs will kind of fall in the same place. They'll align, not perfectly of course, but they will align. So just underneath that rounded corner is where I'm going to put my first one. I'm going to put my last one in the same place. And then I'm going to put my middle one in the center. And notice how I just try to get them to, I don't really measure it out. I just kind of use my eye to align the tabs so that there's some kind of alignment, but it's not necessary. And then I'm going to take my last piece and put it in the center. There we go, roughly center. So now when we do the next, we're going to align in the inside of this. So I'm going to take my second sheet, which is this page. And I'm going to take my tabs, fold them over and decide how far I wanted them to go. Make sure that you wrap these relatively snugly. You don't want them like tight, but you do want them snug so that there's not a lot of give in the fabric. And then I'm just going to use my pinking shear and cut off the length that I want. There's that one. There's that one. And there's that one. Notice I just kind of looked at it and looked and saw where it was going to sit. I didn't do anything fancy. Nothing fancy at all, okay? So those are measured out and ready to go. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just very loosely line this up because I want to see where the tabs are going to go on this one. So I am going to put the first tab here with the alternate color and the second tab here. And I just want to make sure that my tabs are falling in between the other tabs that I already have placed. Okay, and now I'm going to glue those down right now while I have this open. So, and another thing I wanted to mention is that this is the back side of the fabric. This is the front side, but I really enjoyed the back side better. And so that's what I'm actually using is the back side of the upholstery fabric. And I'm gluing the front side down to the piece of cardstock or to my page. So I'm just going to gently lie this flat, and we're going to lay this so that it sits right in between, making sure it's straight. And the same with the second piece. So we have our second tabs in place ready to glue to the next page when the time comes. Now, while this is considered an advanced technique, it's really not that difficult to accomplish. It's pretty flexible. So there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to let these lay flat because, and the way you can tell is because I haven't cut them yet. And I'm going to glue these tabs over. And this is what's going to bind the first page to the second page. So now I'm just going to grab my glue and make sure that I get all of these pieces nicely in place. And what I really like about this type of binding is that you can use anything as pages and this binding will work. It doesn't matter what you use, any kind of cardboard, any thickness of cardboard, because you don't have to go through the material. It's a really flexible binding. It just allows you to do so much. So here we go. And we've got one of our tabs done. See, 1, 2, 3 from the front, and these are the 2 from this sheet. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do the second butterfly, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, and I'm going to put this in exactly the same way. So this is going to be my second third binding, and you can tell because this is where these tabs are. And so I am just going to grab 3 more of those strips. Did I bury them? Oh, I did. I'm going to grab 3 more of those strips. And I'm going to bind them to my signature. So I'm just going to line them up right here, just so that they're even with this one. And we are going to place 3. Now it's really important that you remember to bind your signatures before you put them in, because if you do not bind them, all the inner pages will fall out. Here's the second, and now the third. Notice that some of those are matching, and this one's not going to. This is going to be a different color, and it really doesn't matter. It still goes really well with the journal because I picked a fabric that coordinates with the journal. So there we go. We have 3 placed. Do not glue the other side down yet. What we're going to do is we're going to pick this up. We're going to lay it down. We're going to line it up back here. We're going to measure, and this has just a beautiful line for me, so I'm just going to go to that line. I'm going to pull my fabric a little snugly, and I'm just going to clip it off right at that line. It's a perfect guideline for me. Perfect. And now I'm going to glue them down. So I'm just going to come up here. And notice I'm not gluing all the way to the end of the tab either. Just enough to get close without gluing the signature. And I'm hoping that when I'm done with this one, it will be dry enough or tacky enough to where I can go ahead and open it up and show you what the binding looks like from inside. There we go. Perfect. So now I'm going to flip back to the beginning. Here's the first one where you can only see this binding. The second page where you see them both. Here's the third page with the binding. And so now we're going to finish the next couple of pages. Okay, so once again, so you get the idea, we're going to do this the number 2 again here on screen. I just want to make sure that we get this tab binding really down really well and secured so that you have something to follow when you go to do your own. I'm going to place my tabs, glue my tabs, and place them down so that they align with the prior ones. And these tabs can be made out of, like I said before, out of anything cardstock. You could choose leather. That would be really nice. Vinyl, you name it. Okay, so I have these in a position. And now we're going to let them loose, flip it over, align the other pages, and now we're going to glue these down. Now these, when you're doing this kind of a binding, you want to make sure that you get this relatively snug. Not so snug that you can't, oh, I didn't trim that down. I'm going to leave it right there and trim that piece off. Not so snug that it's a tight fold, but just enough to where it hugs the papers tightly so that you don't have a lot of wiggle in them. I'm going to go down through here and cut all of these. I didn't cut these before, and I should have cut them before I glued that first one. There. And you don't have to cut them if you're going to put big pockets and things on the next page, or if you want to let them show, that's fine too. If you're really worried about a snug, secure fit, but I kind of want them, if they're visible, I just want them uniform, and I don't want them going all the way out into the page. So here we go. I'm going to do the next one. Remember, you want to glue close enough to where you're not leaving a big huge gap, but enough to where you're leaving a semi gap for give. Here's the next one and the next one. One more left to do and we can decorate. That's the fun part anyway, but I just wanted to be sure that you got this tab binding down. And now for the last one. The last one's a little different because you're not going to put any more binding on your book. You're simply going to lay this on top. This is my last page. And these are going to be what's going to hold that last page in place. Just like this. So I'm going to cut those down. That one's a little crooked. And this one seems a little bit longer. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and glue this tab here. And glue this tab here, and we're just going to lightly and gently pull it snug to the back corner, to the back cover, to allow you to finish your binding. And there you have it. You have a finished binding, and look how nice that looks on the edge. You can see where they line up and where they match. Isn't that pretty? Now, if you want to make this really secure, you could always have an additional piece and glue them from here to here just to finish off the look so that it's the same on the front and the back, but not necessary. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave it like this. But that's for those of you that would like to have that, you know, the extra top and bottom bound. But for me, I think this is fine. If you see, you have plenty of room in the middle. Your pages open all wonderfully on your signature binding, and then you have your pages that flip over. Perfect. Now that we've got the book all bound, let's go ahead and decorate. Okay, now let's do some decorating. So what I did is I prepared some pieces from before. The first one for the cover page is, let's see, I don't think I have those here. Hang on while I find those, hang on. Silly me, I had them. Here's what I have. I went ahead and took the animal journal cards and put them on backing of that heavy metal paper and just made a little frame for them. And I thought they would be really cute if I went here and here. But to add some extra functionality, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make this one a top pocket. So I'm just going to do the top and the bottom sides. And this is going to be a side tuck pocket, and I'm going to do the sides. So I'm going to take my art glitter glue, and this one, like I said before, I'm going to do 3 sides to create a pocket. And I'm going to glue it down on top. And it's okay if you go over the tab binding at this point. If you want the tab binding to be decorative, you could decorate your page first and then put the tabs over the top. But I kind of want them to be an element, a background element. I want my cute little animals to take center stage here. Now this one, since it's going to be available for a side piece to go inside, I am going to just do around the sides. And as you can see, this is left over from the last build. I just used some scraps left over from my last build. That's why this one was double-sided and that one wasn't. You don't have to print these double-sided. And then I brought this one, I'm going to bring this one way down in the corner down here. Not directly onto the bottom, but down into the corner to where I can leave enough of the bunny showing. Okay, now for decoration. I'm not going to go too heavy on these since they were really heavy on the florals, but I'm going to choose these. I just love these paper flowers. They're just gorgeous. I love them. And so I'm just going to take 2 of these kind of creamy colors, and I'm going to put 1 in each corner. This one I'm going to make sure I put this way because I want it to sit dimensionally out. And then I'm just going to put maybe another little pretty little let's see. See, is there one more that's too much? Is it too much if I add another one? Maybe not. That might not be too bad at all if I put the corners like that. Okay, I really hadn't planned on going crazy with this, but I'm going to. I found these cute little extra pieces from some clearance Christmas that I purchased. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one there and one there. Oops, it's falling off, and I hope you can see that. I hope I'm in. One there and one there. I'm going to wrap that around here in a second instead of messing with it. Oh, I'm just going to do it now then. It's wire. Simply wire. There we go. And I kind of want it to bend a little bit. I don't want it so straight. There we go. Yeah, isn't that pretty? And we'll bend this one too a little bit so it bends a little bit. Because we don't want it so straight that it's stiff looking. I want this to lay flat. There we go. Just like that. And I'm going to do the same in the other corner, I think. So I'm just giving it a little tug so that it's a little more flexible and a little more natural looking. There we go. And then, because I said I wasn't going to go crazy and I decided to, I have these pieces left over from the last build. And I'm going to tuck it right in there like that. Hopefully it'll look a lot better once it's all glued down. But there, I think that's pretty. Okay, let's glue it down. So I'm going to glue these things first because they are bulky. And once I get them down, I want to hide all the ends. Notice I'm not going all the way to the top. Really isn't necessary. But I do know that that's where that's going to live. And then the bottom one, I know it's going to live there. So I'm just going to take the thick piece and glue it down. And I'm even going to overlap it in the back a little bit so it doesn't protrude so much. And then, after I'm done making a mess, that piece is really strange. It's just a little extra piece from the flower. Make sure I get some glue under there. And I'm going to glue that right over the top of those ends so those ends don't stick out and you can't see them. It looks like it's coming from the flower. And so that this little piece looks the same, I'm going to do the same to it. So I'm going to glue it first. I'm going to glue the stem. And then I'm going to glue it from the center. I'm going to tuck it under the flower and lay it flat. I'm going to fluff it up a little bit too so it kind of has some dimension to it. And now I'm going to put my little yellow carnations down. This is kind of amazing because I'm not really a yellow person, but I really like these flowers. Those little yellow ones are so pretty. There, now we have a pretty little cluster, and that definitely looks better than when we were trying it out, I think. Okay, because you saw me do this first one, I'm going to do the second one off camera just to save some time so we can get to some of the other pages and decorate those. Oh, and you didn't get to see most of that, did you? Okay. I just realized I was off camera, so I'm going to do that again with the top piece, just to be sure that you get to see it. So what I did was is I went along the thick piece and glued it. And now I'm going to lay it down in the corner, right here where I think it should meet and where I want that center to meet. And I'm just going to hold it down for a second. Now this second piece, I'm going to do the same thing, gluing it on the thicker wire. It's going to kind of overlap in the corner because it doesn't need to be that long and protrude that far out into the page, into the cover. There we go. And this one just doesn't, I'm going to switch places. If you notice, that just wants to flip over, and so I'm going to let it. I'm not going to fight it. There. That sits a little nicer. And we can always tweak it a little bit once it's dry as well. Okay, then I'm going to put a generous amount of glue since I was having such a hard time with that end. I'm going to put a generous amount of glue on this flower and place it right over the top so that it covers that. And it's going to hide that for me. There we go. And then as we did with the piece below, take this and slide it up underneath the flower. Just press down, give it a little fluff. And we'll finish with 2 carnations. Here we go again. There. That's really pretty. Okay, and so now I'm really going to go over the top because I don't want it to get all lost in the floral. So I'm going to put a couple of little gears in that flower cluster. So I'm just going to slide it right in here just to add a touch of whimsy and just to tie it all in. And I'm going to do the same on the top piece because I am so symmetrical. It has to look the same. So there we go. Now we're going to let it dry. Oh my goodness, isn't that so cute? Love it. You don't forget, you've got your pocket up here that you need to fill. Let me see if I have a tag. I'm sure I have a tag that I can put up there so you can see that the pocket works there. And I have a stamp from the kit all cut out and it fits there. You can even put another tab there and that would be really cute too. I think if I were to build out on this anymore, I'd probably put something, a tag there, and maybe put a dangle or something, but there you go. Okay, so let's go on to the next page. Oops, I'm going to let this dry a second, and then we'll go on to the next page. Okay, I think it's ready, so I'm excited and want to keep going, and so I'm just going to let it sit there, and hopefully it'll just be okay. So what I did for the next one is I created these pockets. It's just a series of pockets, waterfall pockets. These are about 2.5 inches by, I think, let's measure them just to be sure, but I'm pretty sure they are 4 inches by 2.5 inches. So the bottom part was 4 inches long and the top was 2.5 inches long. I cut out those rectangles, rounded the edges, and then I used my hole punch to just create a little lip there. You can do the same thing by using a quarter. You can use a dime, a nickel, $50, however big you want that, or any other size hole, that circular thing that you have, a cap or whatever, trace it and cut it out to make that thumb hole print. Then what I did was I went ahead and used, I glued them down so that they would all sit as far apart as I wanted them. And then in the corners, I just punched a hole and added the brads. And then don't forget the methods from last time. I used the washi to cover them up. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these, since we have long tags in our kit, I'm going to leave these open so that I can use those long tags and tuck those long tags in. And I am just going to glue this down generously, sorry. Sound like I have a lisp, I really don't. All the way around and just the edges. It was a little fool over here. It wanted to come out really thick and not enough down at the bottom. Around the corner. Fabulous. So now I'm going to put this down. Just like that. And let it dry. Press down those edges so that the areas with the glue can stick. There. A little tacky, but it'll be okay. Okay. For this page, I went ahead and added a flap. This is a coin envelope, and I used the lid as a hinge, and then put the washi tape down over the top. I measured the length and the distance, and just created a pocket, just like this one that I have here that we did on the other side, and just put it on the back of this. This is just a square that was cut out, and I cut it diagonally, and I used it to be like photo corners, so that when you take an image or a tag, let me find another tag because I used all my tags on the front page. You can take a tag, a pocket, a tag, and just tuck it in. And then to show you the pocket on this back page, you can see that it's just a little pocket there. Okay, and so that was prepped because I already did this. But now let's go to this page. Now this page kind of goes hand in hand with the next page because of the type of pocket that I chose to make. I can't complete this one until I do this one. So on this butterfly page, what I chose to do is a new kind of pocket. This is a fold over pocket. It's very, very simple. So what I did was I measured out a piece of paper, and it doesn't matter how long you want it. It can be any length, any size. This was just a full sheet of music paper, and then I cut it in half. And all I did was I folded this section over. Here, I'll do it this way. I folded the section over to leave just a little bit so that I could create a hinge. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue down this side, and glue it shut. And then I'm going to ink all the sides. Then before I did that is I went ahead and used a bigger hole punch to create that fancy little cutout. And then I have the other sides decorated already so that it would save some time. So I'm going to show you how to glue this, and I have another pocket matching for the other side. I'm just going to glue this side and this side. And I'm going to fold it over. See how I already have it decorated? And now I have a hinge. So now to attach this to the page, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on the hinge. And it's just going to fold over the page, which is why we couldn't finish the other page first. So here is where my hinged flap is. And it just opens up. Nice little pocket in there, nice little hinge in there. I'm going to push it down a little bit because I want to make sure that it sits on that page nicely. There we go, nice and even. And now that I'm on this back side, what I want to do is I want to come over here and I'm going to put some washi tape over it just to kind of hide that really white edge. Now, if you don't want to put washi, you can always put you can always ink it or put a pocket over to cover it. I think on the other side I have a pocket, so I'll show you how to cover it using the pocket. But for here, I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to put washi over the top of it to cover up that hinge. I made sure that the paper was cut small enough that it would fit underneath the piece of washi tape that I had for it. And that gives you a nice finished page. There's that. There's that. I'm going to lift it up a little bit and I'm going to trim this corner. And I was a little lopsided on the washi, so I'm just going to come down here and trim. There we go, and trim this little bit over here. There. So now all of the washi, I'm just going to fold down that extra washi to be on the edge. There. And now for here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a belly band. So what I did was I took some really pretty the flower gear paper, and this is a double belly band. See how it opens up? I just took this one, and let's measure it so I can get you measurements if that's what you'd like. This one's 2 inches, and the one underneath is 1 inch long, and then the length is just the length of the page. And I'm going to put it right here in the middle. And when you use a belly band, you can put papers in it, you can put hidden paper clips, all different kinds of neat things that we're going to make in March. But there we go. I'm just going to go ahead and glue those ends just like that. And when I built this, that's exactly what I did on the belly band on top. I just glued the very edge, glued it to the backing, and now I've got this edge and I'm gluing it to the backing. And now I'm going to show you with another tag that it just fits in like that and fits in like that. So there we have our double belly band. Now we're going to go to the next page. I've already put this pocket on there, but I have another pocket just because I wanted the butterflies. And it's just a simple pocket, same concept, measured across the bottom to measure for the length. Normally my pockets are 2.5 inches. I like that size. And I decorated and inked the sides, and now I'm just going to glue it down. Because I didn't want my signature, there we go, and glued it down. And that page is done. Now because I didn't want my signature to be plain, I went ahead and just cut out something to put on the top of it, just so that it kind of blended with the rest of the book. But I'm not going to do any other decorating to my signature. What you can do is you can cut out the little flowers and maybe put a flower at the top, maybe put another kitty or some clocks or things on it. You can decorate your pages any way that you want to decorate your pages. That's completely, totally up to you. So now I'm going to fold this in, and we're going to do that back side. This back side has the same kind of envelope going on with it. So I went ahead and decorated my page already, inked all the sides, clipped out for the thumb hole, and now for you to watch, I'm going to go ahead and glue it down here. And notice that when I left my hinge on the opposite side so that I could put it on this side so that it would open properly. I left it the full page so you could watch me cut it down. I'm going to cut it to about half that length. Doesn't need to be super straight or anything. Nobody's going to see it. And I'm going to close this page and glue it down. You can see that my page back here is empty. I'm just going to set this right where I want it. Fold it over and glue it down. And then I'll put some washi over it to cover it. I thought I had a full set. I'll have to grab some washi. Hang on one second and I'll grab some washi. Okay, great. So I went ahead and prepped my washi, and now I'm just going to go ahead and lay it down. Going to come up right up to that edge, make sure that I've got that edge in my vision. And I'm going to press it down. And I will cut this off and trim it up. Any spaces that are left noticeable, I'm going to go ahead and trim. None on that side. I don't like that I can still see the edge of that music sheet, so I'm just going to go over it with my ink. The same with the washi on this side. I just want to make it blend a little bit better instead of having this big old dark white line through it. While I didn't get it perfect, you can see how it blends a little bit better now. Okay. And this one, I made another pocket so that it was just like the other one. Remember, 2.5 inches by whatever length is kind of standard size for me. Not for everybody. Like you could have a big fat pocket on this one, a long skinny pocket, whatever you'd like. And I am just going to glue this down, just like that. There we go. And now the back page. We're almost done. This one is a long size of the same style that we used on the flip pocket. So I just made 2 pieces of cardstock, the colored cardstock, decorated it. I just noticed that I didn't round the corners on this, so I'm going to round both top and bottom. The top I'm rounding just so that it kind of matches the rest. The bottom I'm doing so that it matches the edges of my journal. I'm going to ink those edges now that I cut them, just so that you can't see the white cardstock below that I used. And now this is going to nicely cover that washi, just like this. So I'm going to do the 3 sides, and the decoration on that one will be done. Now, to decorate the front of my pockets, I just used the fussy cuts from the sheet. So I used the little fox, the dragonfly, or the little butterfly came from the dragonfly page, and then the butterflies. There. Now we have a nice 2 pocket system. You can see a pocket here and a pocket here. And now for the last page. This last page, we'll have one more page to decorate after this, but for right now, I want to show you how to do this because this is really neat. What we're going to do is we're making what we call an accordion fold pocket, and this is what it's going to look like. I made the top flap and the bottom flap. And what's important to know about this is that it works with these pages that I've already created. See, this is what we call an accordion fold. So let me show you how to do this first, and then we'll talk about the pieces that cover it. So an accordion fold, what I did was I took a full book page. This is like a dictionary page, I believe, a big long dictionary page. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it just slightly off center, and I'm going to fold it down. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bead of glue. I'm going to glue it down. Then I'm going to take the other side, and it's going to match that bead of glue. So I'm just going to fold it over just far enough to where that is going to glue down. Going to make sure that that's nice and secure, and then I'm going to crease it. And there we have this long tube-like thing. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and fold it in half. And if I use all the pages from the same book, all my pockets are going to be exactly the same. And there you have 2 pockets. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the inner lines, and I don't want to glue the whole thing because you want to give these pockets room to puff out. So I'm just going to take like maybe an inch or 2 at the top and go about, a 1/2 inch wide, just like that, and glue it down. And so now you can see how one book page makes 2 pockets. Well, I have a total of 2 pockets already, or 4 pockets, so 2 sheets already. I'm just going to attach this one to this one, and I'm going to do it the same way that I glued the inner parts. I'm just going to put a couple of half an inch, maybe, or a quarter of an inch of ink down by a half an inch long or an inch and a half long, and then I'm going to glue the top. Remember, it's really important that you know that these pages need room to grow, and I just lined the top up with the bottom when I glued it shut. And now I have 6 beautiful pockets. Really a simple, neat little project. Now, because I'm going to have a lip going around the bottom, I don't necessarily need to glue the bottoms, but if you want the bottoms glued, you can just do just a little tiny line down here at the bottom like this. I would just go like this and put just a simple line just to kind of hold them together at the bottom to keep them from flying away. Not necessary, but you can. There we have it. Now we have our accordion fold pockets. Now we're going to make the cover for it. So to make the cover, what I did was I measured the length and the width of the pockets. Now if you look, I have just a fraction, just a little bit wider than the pocket, just so that you can't see the folds of the book pages showing on the front side. And then I left myself room for a little bend, just to bend over the edge. And this is the portion that I'm going to glue to the back folio. So right now I'm going to go ahead and, now that I've got my pocket all cut out, and see, this doesn't even matter that it's not cut off or inked or anything, because it's going to go glued to this back side of this folio. See, this is what it'll look like. I'm going to set it right there, and that's exactly what it's going to look like. Now, to get this in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same concept I used here. I'm going to do just the line on this one, not a real big fold. I'm going to tuck it into the fold that I made and glue it down. And that's all that's going to be holding this in, is that one little glue spot and this lip. So now that I've got this tucked in here, you can see this is going to open up like this, and you'll be able to open it up. I'm going to take this back page and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to glue the little bit right here in the center, and I'm going to glue this down at the bottom. This I'm going to be kind of generous with because I don't want it to pull up with use. So I'm a little more generous with the glue down here. Now I'm just going to flip it over and decide where I want it. I'm going to put it just covering the washi and try and center it in the middle of that page. Remember to press down in the center where you have it on the back side and back here. I guess I should mention when I did the pocket, to decorate the pocket, I went ahead and took these right here are from that same sheet of paper. See the band that I used on here? I just simply cut it down closer to those brads or studs and used it to trim out the pocket, so it gave it that almost a trunk look, and then added a couple of tags. I really want to show you this. This is how this accordion fold pocket is going to work. See how it's glued onto the back page? Now to put the cover. So the cover, the lip, or the piece that's going to go on the top, is just going to sit over the top like this. That's how it's going to hold down. And all I did is I made this just the same, just a shy bit smaller than the piece that I cut out before, and it's just a rectangle, and gave it a hinge. That's all this is. And then I'm going to glue this so that it just sits right up above everything else. See, I don't want it to impede this. So I'm just going to glue it right up above everything else. And that's how that flap is going to work. So I'm going to do that real quick. There, now when I open this, you can see I left just a little bit of room between the hinge and the top of the envelopes, but it has plenty of room to come down. and close. Now this is going to need a closure, and I debated whether I was going to do that on screen or not, but I think I'm going to. So I'm just going to show you how I did it real quick. You're going to need something to make a hole with, and so I decided to use my crocodile. Okay, so this is what we call a policy closure. It's made from 2 circles, a brad, and some string. And what I did was I took a 1-inch circle punch, again, quarter, whatever you have, and cut out. This is 2 inches or 2 layers thick of cardstock because I wanted it to be nice and firm and secure. And then after I cut it out and glued it all together, I'm just going to go ahead and ink the edges. And then I put a hole in the center. That's where your brad's going to go through. And the next thing you need to do is decide where you want this on your, where you want to mark the center on your little cover on your flap, your closure. And so I'm going to grab my pen. I'm going to come here, and I don't really want it through, well, it might be a little more secure if it's, well, I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to line it up with the line of my decoration there, my trim. And there's the hole, and I'm just going to punch a hole. I'm going to bring this closer to me for a second because I'm not sure if this is going to work. I might have to go grab my awl real quick, but we're going to give it a try. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. Let me grab my awl real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, that took just a second. I have my awl, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this so I can use it, and I'm going to poke a hole right there, just like that. Then I'm going to take my little circle. I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to put my brad through it, and then I'm going to push the edges. Now, normally I'm going to tell you to make sure everything's nice and pushed down and very, very secure, but I'm not here because I need a little room for a string. And that's going to be one of the next things that we add as soon as I get the bottom one done. So I probably should have done this before I put this page on, but since it's already on, I'm going to have to go through it just the way it is. So I'm going to decide where, do the same process, do the 2 circles, layer them, ink the edges once I get them all cut out so you don't see the white, punch a hole through the center, and then decide how far down and where exactly that's going to land so that it matches my top one. I'm going to make the mark. And that's it. Since this is real time, I am going to remove this. If it will come off, nope, it won't come off, so I'm not going to remove it. I lied again. So now I'm just going to take, you have to be very careful when you do this because I don't want you grabbing your hands. I'm going to put my hand through here, and I'm going to push my awl right through. Just like that. Real easy. I can fill it with my fingers so that I don't go through the other pages. I'm going to put my brad on, stick it through my hole, and then use my hands, my fingers inside to push it down. And as you can see, it's all pushed down in there. Then we're going to grab leftover washi as usual. Leftover washi as usual to cover up that brad in there. So that anything that I put inside, I don't know if you can see this if I'm doing it way over here, anything that I put inside does not get hung up on that brad. And so just so you know, the top in this case is more important than the bottom piece. But there you go. It's all nice and covered, but you can see that I covered that brad totally and completely up. Now on the top flap, what I'm going to do, instead of using a washi, I have some pretty neat little tags, and you can use one of the tags from the kit. I have this number tag I want to use. There's lots of number tags in the kit that you could use. The little square ones would look really nice right there. I just don't have one on hand real quick. And I'm just going to use this tag to cover that up. So now my covering is not just washi, but now it's actually decoration for the page. There you go. Now for the string so we can finish the closure. All right, so I have baker's twine here, and I'm going to use this really neat green and white that I happen to have. As you can see, probably bought this either from an online shop or a yard sale. So as you know, you do not have to have fancy twine from anywhere fancy. So I'm just going to measure this a little bit. I'm going to give a little bit to go around the center, a little bit more to wrap around a few times, just kind of guessing. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a lark's head on the top. And anybody knows a lark head loop, it's just that little loop that kind of cinches around itself. And I'm going to cut the end of this just so that just a tiny bit is going to show through, if any at all. I'm going to make this head really, really wide so I can get it around that closure, around that circle. And then all I'm going to do is pull it so that it goes right underneath. I'm going to tighten it, lift up the edge a little bit so I can pull it tight so that that knot slides right underneath that circle. That's where I want that. And as you can see, just a little tiny bit is showing through, and that's fine. And now we have enough to create the closure. We're just going to wrap it around those circles till we run out of thread. And there we have the decoration for that page. Now normally I don't decorate the backs of my books, but I thought this one was kind of plain and needed it. So remember I told you you could make your pockets any size you wanted. Well, that's what I did with this one. This one I made really chunky. I made a nice big, I think this one's like 3.5 inches, and I have my decoration coming right off the end. So we're going to just go ahead and glue a pocket on the back. Just like this. Ooh, and I better remember to put some on that tail so that tail glues down, because we don't want it getting caught on anything. Just like this. Perfect. And then I have a couple of tags that I glued together that I'm going to put on the top, and I'm going to glue those flat down. I'm not going to make any extra pockets or anything, nothing fancy. Just decorate it and glue it down. There we have it. It's finished. Give me 1 second and we are going to go through and flip through and take a look. I'm going to clean up a little bit and then we're going to look at the journal. Well, here we have it, our cute little journal made of steampunk animals. I just think it's so cute. I just love it. We went ahead and did the tab binding. Remember the tab binding that we did at the beginning, how it just kind of 3 pieces for one sheet, 2 pieces for the other, and then we alternate. I like this binding because it's going to allow you to add as many pages of any kind of different kind of paper that you want to use, whether you want to use signatures or whether you just want to use the cardstock pages like I did, the hard covers. So we have that. Then when we decorated the front, we took the journal cards, the kitty journal cards, and made pockets out of them. We gave them a frame from some of the coordinating papers. And then depending on what side we glued down, depends on which side the pocket is going to come out of. And then we decorated it nicely with some flowers to give it a nice little romantic feel to it, and then decorated it with the gears inside. Then we came here and we had the layered pockets. These pockets are, it's called a waterfall pocket, and each one has a little space. The nice thing is that you can take a longer piece of cardstock. Let's see, is this, oh, it's too wide. Let me fold it in half real quick to show you how deep that goes. So you can see how long this strip is. This back one is going to allow you to take up most of that sheet. So you can use some of those longer tags in your pockets, and each one goes down just a little bit shorter, just the length of the pocket. So this one will still give you that full length as well. And then this one a little bit shorter. And then this front one is the shortest pocket. And these are called waterfall pockets. Next, we put a flip out of a coin envelope that we covered. We used a square to make the photo corners. It's a photo corner pocket, just like that. It flips up. It has the larger pocket back here that we made. You can see that, the full length of the... And then we built our double belly band for in here. Now this is kind of plain, so if you so wanted, you could always go through and put flowers on it. I was trying to see if I had any more gears, but I'm not seeing my gearbox. But you could put gears on it, anything to kind of dress that up a little bit. That would be cute, to put some gears on it, to kind of draw attention to it. Remember that we did this pocket and we used the washi tape to cover up the pocket so that we didn't have any extra white showing through. And this is a flip pocket with the pocket up here on top. You can see that we can fill it with things. This is a pocket. We made this pocket. Remember, I used it traditional, for me, traditionally 2.5 inches by the width of the paper. Then we decorated our signature and added tabs so we could gently flip through our paper. We did the same kind of pocket on the back side, on the other butterfly here and here. And then remember, you can, this might even look cute with the belly band up here, or another pocket or something decorative. I just really like the butterflies and didn't want to cover them up. Then I used ephemera from the kit, the little fussy cuts from the kit, to put on this pocket. And then we took that smaller flip out pocket, the long one on the back, and just made it larger. So I believe this one, we said this was 3, and then this was 3.5 and 1.5 inches wide. And you can see that they both have pockets. And then we used the fussy cuts. Here's the fun one. We used the accordion fold pocket. Okay, here's a fun one. We went ahead and made an accordion fold pocket with the policy closure. So here we have all of our pockets made from book pages all the way to the back. And then we used the circles and the brads to make the policy closure. And this is perfect size for the ATCs. It'll fit these little cards. It'll fit these cards perfectly, these and the journal cards. And then we have the back page that we went ahead and decorated, made a big pocket on the back just to kind of hold things, and decorated the top so the pocket wasn't lonely. And there you have it, your cute little steampunk. Just as a side hint, these here in your signature that I used to tie my signature, I left them long because I think maybe later I might add some charms or something to dangle from them. But if you don't want them to, you can always cut them close to the knot or tie a bow to hide them on the inside of your signature. So there we have it, our steampunk animal tabbed journal. So much fun to make. Remember, you don't have to use the kit to do this. You can use any kind of paper and cutouts and things that you have, any decorations that you have. It's just wonderful. Just a reminder, next week when I post on Wednesday, I'm not sure what time it'll be, but if you subscribe and click the bell below, give this video a thumbs up. If you click the bell below, you'll be notified of when that video hits the channel, the airwaves. And thank you so much for spending the crafting time with me. I really, really enjoyed it. So until next time, keep creating magical art. We'll see you then. Bye.